Good evening, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World. I'm your host, Batsir Namshir. And for today's top stories, the Speaker of Parliament received representatives from the National Assembly of Korea. The 2018 Student Soldier Program concluded successfully. For other news, stay tuned. A project to improve the Ulaanbaatar Cadastral Department's database and integrate its data with the existing state land data system will be implemented in upcoming months. The new database will provide residents with vital information about state land, the state's immovable property registry, cadastral maps, digital archives, and data on the National Land Information System.
The main purpose of this project is to facilitate the efficient issuance and administration of property and land lease certificates in Mongolia. Improved administration is expected to enhance the collection of land fee payments and property taxes for urban and agricultural development. With the successful launch of the project, not only will public services related to land leasing be transparent, but residents and legal entities will also benefit from fast online services, noted Kang Ho, Director of Administration of Land Affairs, Geodesy and Cartography. The consolidated cadastral system will be connected to a database used by other state agencies, which will allow residents to pay land lease fees and taxes through mobile and online banking applications. The database will also facilitate the process of getting reference material to notaries, banks, and financial organizations. The project is expected to be complete by December 2019. The project's launch ceremony was attended by Minister of Construction and Urban Development, Badel Khan, Director of Administration of Land Affairs, Geodesy and Cartography, Kang Ho, and the Deputy Director of the city's Administrative Department on Gir District Development.
President Batulga issued an official letter calling for the dismissal of the Chief of the Civil Service Council on July 17. The letter was sent to Parliament Speaker Ingvold. The dismissal is based on the President's assessment that the Chief of the Civil Service Council failed to carry out the Council's duties and administer the Council effectively. President Batulga listed the full powers of the Civil Service Council as written in the Law of Mongolia on Civil Service and cited several problems that have been caused by the Council's failures in regard to appointment of the official leadership positions. The 2018 Student Soldier Program, intensive military training for university students, concluded with a graduation ceremony. Around 1,000 students took part in this year's program. We have details in the following report. The Student Soldier Program was carried out by the government of Mongolia for the 5th time. The student soldiers attended field training at the Drill Center of National Defense University from June 15th to August 15th. The student soldiers' basic training aims to build up patriotic, intelligent and educated young men possessing general military knowledge. Military service is a requirement for entering public service in Mongolia. The student soldier is a 2-month military program that allows students to enhance their physical and mental strengths through military education. The students enrolled in the program are eligible to apply for public service positions without having to serve 1 year of conscripted service. The graduation ceremony was attended by Minister of Defense Ingvold, officials from the Mongolian Armed Forces, other state officials, and the families of the graduates. Minister Ingvold noted that the program focuses on critical skills such as patience, rigidity, discipline, and teamwork. In 2018, out of the 1,500 students who registered for the program, 350 students from rural areas and 650 students from Ulaanbaatar were enrolled in training. The students received theoretical training from April 1st to June 1st. Now let's take a look at the currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. On August 16, Speaker of the Parliament of Mongolia, Ingpold, received representatives from the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea, led by Chairman of its Standing Committee on Environment and Labor. The Speaker expressed his delight at meeting with the National Assembly members who arrived to attend an event to develop inter-parliamentary ties. Mentioning that Mongolia's economy has been recovering for the last 2 years, reaching 6.3% growth and new construction projects being developed, Speaker Ingpold noted that products made in South Korea make up a significant amount of Mongolia's imports with steadily rising volume. He noted that the parliaments of the two countries should expand mutual relations and ensure more efficient cooperation involving more economic sectors and individual citizens. Ulaanbaatar and Seoul became sister cities 18 years ago, and since that time, cooperation between the rural areas of the two countries has also expanded. Speaker Ingpold emphasized that Mongolia is engaged in the security of Northeast Asia and peaceful coexistence, and has been involved in resolving regional issues through negotiations. He expressed his pleasure with the progress in relations between the two Koreas in recent years. The chairman of the National Assembly's Standing Committee on Environment and Labor underlined that the Parliament of Mongolia voted to make amendments to the state's policy on the civil aviation sector last June, and expressed his confidence that through the amendments, conditions could be created for the expansion of business and people-to-people relations between the two countries. Summer is a tourism season in Mongolia. Tourists from around the world come to Mongolia to see its natural landscapes and experience the nomadic lifestyle. More tourism companies are expanding their itineraries to give a more in-depth look at lesser-known parts of Mongolian culture. Let's take a look at our story from MNB World reporter Anand.
Mongolian shamanism predates Mongolia's first empire. During the Soviet era, shamanism and religions in general were banned. When Mongolia transitioned to democracy, the religious ban was lifted, and the shamans who kept traditions alive in secret no longer had to hide their beliefs and practices. Now there are more than 20,000 shamans in Mongolia, according to the Corporate Union of Mongolian Shamans. In recent years, tourism companies have been including shamanistic rituals, performances in their tour packages. Travel Hub Mongolia, a local tourism company that contacts tour operators to interesting locations and attractions, have begun working with a local female shaman named Bairma to show tourists traditional shamanic rituals. Bairma says that she has been a shaman for more than 20 years and has witnessed the commercialization of Mongolian shamanism in recent years. She told our crew that she doesn't want foreigners to get the wrong impression of Mongolia's oldest intangible heritage. During MNB World's visit to Bairma's Gir, Japanese tourists came to see Mongolian shamanic ritual.
It was very impressive performance, like it was reaching into my mind and soul. I'm really happy for being able to see this. Mongolian shamanistic beliefs, I think, a bit similar to Japanese religious practice, like spirits of ancestors descending down to earth. I will definitely see more shaman rituals. It was really interesting.
Now let's take a look at world news from our media partners. This year, German breweries face an unexpected issue related to increased beer consumption. We have details in the following report.
Beer sales in Germany have been excellent this summer thanks to the record-breaking heat wave that shrouded much of Europe combined with the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Although increased sales is typically good news for many producers, there's also been a downside. The surge has led to a shortage of beer bottles.
We are about 5% up from the last years, and in peaks up to 10%. On average, we are producing about 1 million bottles per day, and during the summertime it's going up to 1.5, 1.8 million bottles per day.
A brewmaster from Poland and Nockherberg, a prominent beer garden in Munich, also witnessed an unexpected increase in output, saying that his restaurant was selling over 100,000 liters of beer each day this summer. In the German beer market, each beer bottle is usually recycled 36 times on average, and people pay a deposit of around 15 euro cents for every beer bottle purchased, which is returned when they return the bottle. However, due to scorching heat this summer, the recycling policy has failed to encourage enough beer consumers to return their empty bottles, and Lehmann said his brewery is facing the same problem. He explained that they always order more bottles ahead of the summer's peak season each year, but whether the bottles are enough to meet the needs of the market in the end always depends on the producer's output.
Of course, we ordered new bottles, but also the bottle producers were running short in capacity. So the only thing to prepare for seasons like this is that you have some stocks of empty bottles that you keep during the winter time to be prepared for the summer. So, and you can talk to the customers and to the consumers to bring back the empty bottles.
In parts of Germany, the heat rose as high as 39 degrees Celsius, a record for this time of year, especially since temperatures normally hover comfortably around the high 20s or low 30s.
The 2018 Asian Games opening ceremony was held on August 18. The Asian Games were officially opened by Indonesia's President Joko Widodo late on Saturday during a colorful opening ceremony in Jakarta, dominated by a joint march of North and South Korean athletes. A burst of fireworks followed the announcement of the opening, marking the start of the two-week tournament to be held in Jakarta, Indonesia, and Palembang, Sumatra.
The biggest sporting event in Asia, the 2018 Asian Games, began with spectacular opening ceremony on Saturday in Jakarta, Indonesia. Indonesian President Joko Widodo attended the event, as did representatives from 45 participating Asian countries. The opening featured the biggest opening ceremony stage ever for this multi-sport competition. With a length of 120 meters, a width of 30 and standing 26 meters high, the stage was used by 6,000 athletes and officials from all contingents as they marched under the banners of their respective countries. As for the Republic of Korea and Democratic Peoples of Republic of Korea, the two nations marched in the parade as a unified Korea. Each country's contingent was led by an official who carried their country's nameplate. Zolpo Natsuksarung, a State Hawk wrestler, led the Mongolian team in the opening ceremony as flag bearer. A record 270 athletes specializing in 30 sports are participating in this year's games, including Olympic and World Championship medalists. Having won 21 medals, including 5 gold from previous Asian Games, the Mongolian team is setting their sights high in Indonesia. Basketball teams who started competition early last week have already shown competitive spirit, with the Mongolian women's team defeating Hong Kong 83-79 in a Group Y qualifying match on Friday. The match was a 3-point barrage, with 23 points being recorded. During the match, 15 of which were scored by the Mongolians. Bulbul Murat scored 8 3-pointers and Unurzaya Batoktok scored 5 3-pointers out of 15 successful shots. As for the men's team, after being defeated by South Korea on Friday, their second loss in the group, their chance of advancing to the next round is thin. There are 3 groups of 4 and 1 group of 2 in the tournament. The top 2 teams from each group will reach the quarter-finals. Through Group B only consists of Iran and Syria, and they are both assured of spots in the final 8 due to the withdrawal of the United Arab Emirates 1. Next up to the Mongolian men's team is the host nation, Indonesia, on August 25th. With the motto of Energy of Asia, the 2-week games will continue until September 2nd in the Indonesian cities of Jakarta and Palembang. For the first time, the Asian Games are being co-hosted in 2 cities, the Indonesian capital of Jakarta and Palembang, the capital of the South Sumatra province. Also, for the first time, esports and canoe polo will be contested as demonstration sports. Esports is expected to be a medal event at the 2022 Asian Games.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast for the world's major cities. Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on Wednesday at 7 p.m. with more news and updates. Have a nice evening. Goodbye.